Hello everyone, this is again Mr. Adel Bimbrick from the channel, of course you know, English language with Adel and Maram. Glad to be with you again. So in this video we will be continuing with parts of speech, and in this video we will emphasize the verb. So what's a verb? We will do the definition of verb and some much more details about it. So if we say a verb, we ask a question, what's a verb? In the most simple term, a verb in a word which describes an action, often known as a doing word. In the English language, the verb is the only kind of word which will change to show whether the past or present is being spoken about. So the verb is considered to be the most vital part of any sentence. Without it, you would be left literally speechless. So, a verb is a word or group of words that describes an action, experience, or expresses a state of being. So, verbs are the main part of a sentence and one of the 9 parts of speech in English. Of course, as you know, we have seen the parts of speech, and of course you know they are noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, article, preposition, conjunction, and interjunction. So we are not going to go back to that. We have seen, you go back and check the video about parts of speech. Okay, so we have examples of verbs. Walk, is, sim, run, see, swim, stand, go, have, get, promise, invite, listen, sing, sit, etc., etc. So we have example, he speaks English. Speaks is a verb. I don't know how to spell the word. Spell or no. She studies hard. So there are many different types of verbs in English grammar. We have irregular verb, modal verb, dynamic verb, stative verb, auxiliary verb, causative verb, and etc. So when we go to see types of verbs and verbs example, we learn different types of verbs in English with useful grammar rules and verb examples. So we have irregular verbs. What's the definition of an irregular verb? So they are common verbs in English that do not follow the simple system of adding d or ed to the end of the word to form the past tense, the past simple, and or the past participle. So irregular verbs, we do not add d or ed to the past, as we know with regular verbs. So we have some irregular verbs like fall, fell, fallen, feed, fed, fed, feel, fell, fell, fight, fought, fought, find, found, found, fly, flew, flown, forbid, forbade, forbidden, forget, forgot, forgotten, forgive, forgave, forgiven, freeze, froze, frozen, get, got, give, gave, given, go, went, gone, green, ground, ground, grow, grew, grown, hang, hang, have, had, hear, heard, hide, hid, hidden, hit, hit, hold, held, held, hurt, 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 keep, kept, kept, kneel, knelt, knelt, know, knew, known, lay, led, led, lead, led, led, lean, lent, lent, learn, learned, 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 leave, left, left, land, land, land. So we have many others that I think many of you know these irregular verbs. So you have a look at them. There is a list of irregular verbs. Of course, for learners, English language learner, they need to memorize these verbs. Okay. So we have after that modal verbs. What's a modal verb? Modal verbs are a small class of auxiliary verbs used to express possibility, obligation, advice, permission, ability. So modal verbs examples, we have will, shall, would, should, ought to, must, mustn't, may, might, can, could, have to, has to, don't, doesn't have to. So we have the modal verb and the function or type. So ability, we use can or could. For example, we say David can speak 3 languages. He could speak fluent French when he has 5. So this is the ability. Permission, we use can, could, may. Can I sit in that chair, please? Could I open the window? May I borrow your dictionary? We have advice too, we use should. You should visit your dentist at least twice a year. You should try to lose weight. Obligation, we have must and have to. Examples, I must memorize all of these rules about tenses. You have to take off your shoes before you get into the mosque. And we have possibility, we use might, may, could, can. It looks nice, but it might be very expensive. Richard may be coming to see us tomorrow. So, we have modal verbs to express ability. Learn how to use models of ability in English. We have to be able to, can, can't, be able to, couldn't, 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 manage it to, be able to, can, can't. So, we have models of ability. We have can, be able to. So can, general or specific ability. Be able to, general or specific ability too. We have can and can't. Richard can speak French fluently. Are, is not able to. Max was able to swim. So, model, we have could, general ability, couldn't, general or specific. And in past, of course, we say could or couldn't. Example, my sister could swim when I was 6. I couldn't play the piano when he was 5 or she was 5. Be able to, we have general or specific ability. Manage to, specific ability. So we have was, were, not able to. Jennifer was not able to dance when she was 8. Managed to. Police finally managed to catch the culprit. We have other models like can and be able to. So, can, general or specific ability, can or can't. Example, I can help you tomorrow. Be able to, general ability, will, won't be able to. Journalists will be able to preview the exhibition tomorrow. Okay, so we have models for asking permission. Okay, in English we have can, could, may, would. These are models for asking permission. So we have informal and formal or polite. Informal we have we have informal and formal. We have can, so when we say, can I borrow your pen for a minute? Can I speak to John Wilson? And formal, we use may. May I ask a question, please? May I ask a question, please? May we go home now? Okay. So, and we have a polite way. Sorry. We use could. So, we say, could I please have a glass of beer? Could I open the window? That's for informal. And for formal, we use polite way. Would you mind if I asked you something? Would you mind if I took this? Okay, so we have sorry, perfect infinitive with models. The structure have plus past participle is called a perfect infinitive. So we learn how to use perfect infinitive with modal verbs in English. We have must have, can't have, should have, shouldn't have, needn't have, ought to have, may have, might have, could have, would have. Okay, so we go to some details. We have perfect infinitive with modal verbs. When we use must have plus past participle, it expresses a deduction about something that has happened, so we feel quite sure about it. Example, I didn't hear her voice. She must have gone out. And we have can't have plus past participle. It expresses a deduction about something that didn't happen in the past based on present evidence. So we say she can't have passed such a difficult exam. We have should have plus past participle. It expressed the idea that something was desirable or needed but didn't take place. So we say she should have asked you before borrowing your pen. We have to shouldn't have plus past participle. It's about something that took place but it wasn't desirable. So we say she shouldn't have taken the matter too seriously. Okay, and we have needn't have plus past participle. It indicates that something was done but it wasn't necessary. The person who did it thought it was necessary. We have the example, when the party was over, I realized that you needn't have cooked so much food as most of it was untouched. So we have to ought to have plus past participle. It expresses an unfulfilled duty or obligation. Example, Paul ought to have waited until the lights were green before he crossed the street, but he didn't wait. We have to may have plus past participle. It expresses the possibility that an action took place in the past. The little girl may have lost her keys. It is possible that she lost her keys. So we have might have plus past participle. It expresses a past possibility. Our neighbors might have heard some noises when our car was stolen. So we have could have plus past participle too. It expresses past reference about something that was not carried out. So we say she could have called the doctor early in the morning. She didn't call the doctor. We have to would have plus past participle. It It's used in the third conditional. Example, I would have gone to university if my parents had more money. The speaker didn't go to the university. So, we move on to dynamic verbs. A dynamic verb is a verb that shows continued or progressive action on the part of the subject. This is the opposite of stative verb. So, example of dynamic verbs: eat, walk, learn, grow, sleep, talk, write, run, read, go. And the opposite is stative verbs. Stative verbs are verbs that express a state rather than an action. They usually relate to thoughts, emotions, relationships, senses, status of being, and measurements. So we have examples: suppose, recognize, forget, remember, imagine, mean, agree, disagree, deny, promise, satisfy, realize, appear, astonish. And we have, of course, some of them are possessions. We have, own, possessed, lack, consist, involve, and emotion like, dislike, hate, adore, prefer, care for, mind, want, need, desire, and measure, cost, and others. Measure, weight, owe, seem, fit, depend, matter. And of course, we have the auxiliary verbs. And we briefly mentioned the auxiliary verb when discussing the verb to be. However, other verbs can function as auxiliary verb, and this means that they cannot create a sentence alone, but requires the use of another verb and can help it to demonstrate various conditions, states, or tenses. Let's look at some examples of this. When I got there, she had finished the lesson. After he arrived home, we had eaten dinner. So, what's an auxiliary verb? It is a verb that adds functional or grammatical meaning to the clause in which it appears, such as to express tense, aspect, modality, voice, emphasis. An auxiliary verb is most generally understood as a verb that helps another verb by adding grammatical information to it. So, do. We say, I do not feel like going out tonight. Have. I have just received his reply. Be. A model railway mart will be held on Friday. Will. He will not play volleyball. Okay, so we have some of them with examples. I'm sorry for what I have done. Is great all-round player. Are, you are never too old to learn. Was, he was elected by an anonymous vote, where the children were playing with the ball or a ball. B, music will be played on a phonograph. Been, this actress has been divorced from her husband. Will, he will not play volleyball. Has, he has bought some tropical fruits. Have, our guests have arrived. Had, I had not seen him for 15 years. Do, I do not feel like going out tonight. Does your job fulfill your expectations? Did you have a nice holiday? So we move on to causative verbs. And they are verbs that show the reason that something happened. They do not indicate something the subject did for themselves, but something the subject got someone or something else to do for them. So we have some examples like have, I had the machine check the brakes. Get, I couldn't get the engine to start. Make, I like him because he makes me laugh. Let, if you accept, please let me know. So we have a little bit explanation. Let, we have subject plus let plus person plus verb. The meaning is to allow someone to do something. Example, Henry let me drive his new car. Have, we use subject plus have plus person plus verb. The meaning is to authorize someone to do something. The example, I had the mechanic check the brakes. Make, we use subject plus make plus person plus verb. The meaning to force someone to do something. So example, she made her son clean his room. Okay, we have get, subject plus get plus person plus to plus verb. Meaning to convince someone to do something or to trick someone into doing something. The student got the teacher to dismiss class early. We couldn't get him to sign the agreement. So we move on to transitive verb. It is one which has the ability to have a noun directly attached to it. Example of this might be kick, call, write story, answer question. We have the intransitive verbs too. This type of verb cannot have a noun directly attached to it and requires the use of a preposition in order to help it function. Example of intransitive verb, run to the shop, proceed with the game, abide by the rules. So we have now no action to be. A no action to be verb means that the verb is not directly referencing an action. The verb to be can function as both an auxiliary verb as well as a main verb. When it's being used as a main verb, it will join a subject to an adjective, for example. She is small. It might also join a subject to another noun, for example, James is king. However, when to be function as an auxiliary verb, it will form the progressive tense. An example of this would be the book is read by the teacher. Is watching the TV. Okay, so we have some linking verbs. This is type of verb which is non-be verb and is used to link a subject to a noun, a phrase, or an adjective, for example. This looks amazing. The food tastes beautiful. So, the different forms of main verbs. When we are dealing with main verbs, there are different forms in which they can come. We are now going to take a look at each of these forms in a little more detail. So we have the infinitives. The infinitive form of a verb is that state in which it is originally found. In English, this is often with the word to in front of the verb. For example, to run, to see, to have, to live. What is to infinitive? A to infinitive is verb consisting of to plus a verb, and it acts like a subject, direct object, subject complement, adjective, or adverb in a sentence. So we use the infinitive to indicate the purpose of an action, as subject of a sentence, or as a direct object of a sentence, or as a subject complement, or as an adjective, or as an adverb, or after adjective, or after object that is noun or pronoun referring to a person, or used with question word. So we have verbs followed by infinitives. We have a list of them. We have attempt, ask, arrange, beg, begin, care, choose, claim, consent, continue, dare, decide, demand, deserve, dislike, expect, fail, forget, get, hesitate, hope, hurry, intend, learn, like, love, manage, mean, neglect, need, offer, plan, prefer, prepare, pretend, proceed, promise, propose, refuse, remember, seem, start, stop, struggle, swear, threaten, try. So this is a big list. And we have zero infinitive. We use the zero infinitive when after modal auxiliary verbs, after the object, after certain verbs, such as here, see, make, let, or after verbal idioms, would rather and had better, or used with why. So, after modal auxiliary verbs, will, shall, would, could, my sister could play the piano when she was 5. You must get up early in the morning. After certain verbs, here, see, make, let, plus object. Example, he saw her fall from the cliff. She made her kids tidy their beds. Or after expressions would rather and had better, I'd rather stay at home than go out tonight. It's cold. The children had better wear their coats. Or, as we said, used with why wait until tomorrow? Why leave before the end of the match? We have what we call gerunds. Gerunds are verbals that function as nouns and have an ing ending. For example, we have gerunds form of verbs is used as follow, used as subject of a sentence, used as direct object of a sentence, as a subject complement, as an object of preposition, or after certain expressions. So, a little bit details. We have the usage and the examples. As subject of a sentence. Example, writing in English is difficult. Watching TV is my favorite pastime. As direct object of a sentence. I like writing in English. I love going to the restaurants. As a subject complement, my cat's favorite activity is sleeping. One of his duties is doing homework. As an object of a preposition, we have we shall be interested in hearing your comments. Would you like to walk instead of taking the bus? After certain expressions, we have my cat's favorite activity is sleeping. One of his duties is doing homework. Okay, so verbs followed by gerund. We have a list again. We have admit, advise, anticipate, acknowledge, appreciate, avoid, bear, begin, complete, consider, differ, delay, deny, discuss, dislike, enjoy, entail, finish, forget, hate, intend, involve, justify, keep, like, love, mention, mind, miss, postpone, practice, prefer, quit, recall, recollect, recommend, regret, resent, resist, risk, sanction, start, stop, suggest, tolerate, and try. So we have some examples of them. We have admit. He was embarrassed to admit making a mistake. Advise. He advised applying at once. Anticipate. I didn't anticipate having to do the cooking myself. Acknowledge. She acknowledged receiving assistance. Appreciate. I appreciate having enough time to finish. Avoid. She decided to be a nun in order to avoid meeting him. Bear. I wish she wouldn't eat so fast. I can't bear watching her. Began. I began teaching in 1984. And we have complete, consider, defer, delay, deny, discuss, dislike. Of course, you can see the examples. We have two other verbs like enjoy, entail, finish, forget, hate, intend, involve, justify, keep, like, love, mention, mind, miss, postpone. Of course, I let you see the examples, or of course you can pause the video and have a good look at these verbs and the examples. So I give you some time to have a look. Then we move to present and past participles. So what is a participle? A participle is a verbal that is used as an adjective and most often ends in ing or ed. They function as adjectives, past participle, modifying noun or nouns or pronouns. So, types of participles. There are two participles in the English language, the present and the past one. So the present participle is a very simple concept. As to create the present participle, one must simply add the letter ing to the verb stem. This shows that something is happening right now. For example, I am leaving the house, or the cat is lying on the rack. And we have to the past participle. Similarly to the present participle, the past participle shows time. In this case, that something has already happened or has happened in the past. In order to create the past participle, one must add the letter ed to the verb stem. For example, the sentence, I decide what happens would become, I decided what happens. So despite the addition of ed being the regular form of past participle, there are some irregular verbs which do not follow this pattern. Some examples of these are as follow: to show, shown, to see, seen, to build, built, to feel, felt. So there are always some irregular forms. We have here, of course, as usual, the use and the example as a part of the continuous form of a verb. He is reading a book as an adjective. The smiling girl is my sister as a gerund. Mary is interested in reading books. After verbs of perception, I saw them crossing the street. With the verbs spend and waste, don't waste time playing computer games. With the verb catch and find, don't let him catch you reading his letters. For two actions at the same time, he left the room laughing. Okay, so we have now the past participle. As an adjective, spoken words cannot be revoked. With the auxiliary verb have to form the perfect aspect. When I came, he had left. With the verb be to form the passive. This house was built in 1815. To make one of the past forms for the modal verbs, I should have finished. by the middle of the week. Used to replace a subject plus passive verb construction. We say she entered accompanied by her daughters. Used after want, have, and like plus direct object. I want this text translated by noon. So we have two finite and non-finite verbs. Another word for the finite form is the conjugated form. This happens when the verb is being used within a sentence. By conjugating the verb, you are allowing it to demonstrate tense, number, mood, and person. An example of this might be the sentence, he won the tournament. The conjugated verb here shows us that this is a past tense sentence in the third person, singular. So, finite verb forms. A finite verb is controlled by the number of the subject. If the subject is singular, the verb is singular. If the subject is plural, the verb is plural. Examples: they are studying reproduction in shellfish. I sing with the university course. Okay, so we have two non-finite verb forms. A non-finite verb is not controlled by the number, person, and tense in the subject. Example: I don't want to go home in the dark. She put a blanket over the sleeping child. Okay, so we have, as usual, some examples. So, finite verb. Act as a verb. When we say they got home very late last night. Act as the main verb of close. I live in Germany. Indicate person, number, and tense. She was waiting in the room before he came in. Used in present tense and past tense. You promised me the last ticket. Appear in dependent and independent clauses. Jean said that he enjoyed painting. For non-finite verbs, do not act as a verb. When we say, sailing is my favorite sport. Act as a noun, adjective, and adverbs. Nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. The sleeping cat is brown. Do not indicate person, number, and tense. She tiptoed round the house so as not to take anyone. Are infinitives, gerunds, and participles. Example: I struggle to understand. Appear in infinitival, participle, and gerund participle clause. Kids like to play on computer. Okay, so we can go to subject-verb agreement rules. There are some rules, which are 10 rules. So we have the first one: the subject and verb must agree in number. A singular subject takes a singular verb, whereas a plural subject takes a plural verb. 2. The subject is separated from the verb by with as well, together with, along with. These words and phrases are not part of the subject. The verb agrees with the subject. 3. Two subjects joined by and are plural. 4. Two subjects joined by or, not, either or, neither nor, not only but also, take the verb that agrees with the subject closest to it. Next one. With collective nouns, the verb might be singular or plural in UK, depending on meaning. Next one. In sentences beginning with here or there, the true subject follows the verb. Okay, after that, the verb is singular if the subject is a singular and definite pronoun. The verb is plural if the subject is plural and definite pronoun. And some indefinite pronouns, some, any, or, most, may be either singular or plural, depending upon their use in the sentence. Next one. Use a singular verb for expressions of measurement, time, money, and weight, when the amount is considered 1 unit. Next one. Plural form subjects with a singular meaning take a singular verb. The last one. Titles of single entities are always singular. So here we have this image or chart which is giving us some details about these rules. So we have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, 8, 9, and 10. And of course with examples. 1. The subject and verb must agree in number. He goes to work by bus. They visit us every other week. 2. The words and phrases with, as well as, together with, along with are not part of the subject, and the verb agrees with the subject. So we have the example. The politician along with the newsman is expected shortly. Number 3, we have two subjects joined by and are plural. And there is an exception. So first we say the example. Mary and John are quite different. The exception. Bacon and eggs is my favorite dish. Okay. So number 4, with collective nouns, the verb might be singular or plural, depending on meaning. Example, the audience was clearly enchanted by her performance. The audience are strangely subdued, clapping politely after each song. Number 5, subject joined by or, not, either or, neither nor, not only but also. Take the verb that agrees with the subject closest to it. So we have neither my mother nor my father goes to university. Number 6, in sentences beginning with here or there, the true subject follows the verb. There is a bush near school playground. Number 7, the verb is singular if the subject is a singular and definite pronoun, such as each, either, no one, none, everyone, etc. Nobody gets rich from writing nowadays. The verb is plural if the subject is a plural and definite pronoun, such as several, few, both, many. We have several villages have been isolated by the heavy snowfall. Some indefinite pronoun may be either singular or plural, depending upon their use in the sentence. Some of the books are out of place. Please put them in the right order. Books are countable. Some of the music was weird. Music is uncountable. Number 8, use a singular verb for expressions of measurement, time, money, and weight, when the amount is considered 1 unit. $50 seems a reasonable price. $5 were scattered on the ground. Number 9, plural form subjects with a singular meaning take a singular verb, such as mumps, measles, calisthenics, it's too small, statistics, civics, etc. So, gymnastic is his favorite sport. Number 10. Titles of single entities, books, organizations, countries, etc. are always singular. Harry Potter is an interesting novel. Okay, so we have a little bit of some other verb rules. There are many rules surrounding the use of verb in the English language. Let's take a look at the most important ones. So we have when taking in the third person, when talking in third person, the verb requires an es or s form. For example, he uses the bathroom. If the verb and the subject have a long phrase between them, the verb has to agree with the original subject and not that of the phrase. For example, the sweets which he gave to his wife were very tasty. If the subject is preceded by the phrase one of, the following verb should be singular. For example, one of the children is crying. If two nouns are within a sentence and refer to the same thing or person, the following verb should be singular. For example, the doctor and the nurse are working in the hospital. If there are two nouns which are synonymous within a sentence, they should be followed with a singular verb. For example, his power and might is huge. Plural nouns on their own will use a plural verb. For example, his shoes are too big. However, if the plural noun is preceded by the words a pair of, then a singular verb is required. For example, a pair of shoes is quite expensive. If the noun is uncountable, then a singular verb should always follow it. For example, the poetry that he writes is very romantic. The last one, when a collective noun is referring to a single entity, it should use a singular verb. For example, the military is very strict. However, if it is being used to refer to an individual, then a plural verb should be used. For example, the military are requesting new number. So, I hope you like our video about verbs. So, we have here a list of commonly used verbs in English. We have do, doubt, drag, drive, drop, dry, earn, eat, encourage, engage, enter, and of course with their examples that you can see: establish, examine, experiment, explore, extend, fly, fold, follow, forbid, fry, generate, get, give, grow, hang, happen, hesitate, hide, hug, hurry, hurt, identify, improve, include, incorporate, indicate, involve, iron, which is to iron, jog, jump, kiss, kneel, laugh, lay, learn, live, lift, and of course a big number of verbs here, as you can see, and of course you can have a look at them. I let you the time to have a look at them, or of course you can pause the video to have a look at them all together, and of course you can practice with reading them loudly so you can know them, memorize them, and of course to test your pronunciation. And this is a good exercise to do when you are learning language, is to speak it, for example, with nouns, with verbs, with adjectives, with everything. So we have the conclusion. The verb is an integral part of the English language, and there are many rules surrounding its use. In this, of course, in this article, we have learned the various types of verbs as well as how to use them by following some simple grammatical rules. So, I hope that you liked our lesson, and I think it was a lesson about verbs with much details. So I advise you to, or not advising you, but politely asking you to like our video, and if you are not subscribed in our channel, please subscribe and like our videos, and of course kindly share it with your friends and in your Facebook profiles, your Instagram, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, and I hope we will give you some more videos as much interesting as this one, and see you in another video.